Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Которые на данный.
It's a supply box in the lid. It's a Russian box. Slava Ukraine. Right there. Slava Ukraine. Where the I just realised Terrence. So we're WarDay as a humanitarian team from the UK who are here to deliver essential aid to vulnerable Ukrainian people. So we have Fenton, Henry, Steve, Darren, hello, and our translator Edward. The fleet. We also have a great guy who joins us called Justin from Justin Ukraine Aid, and he helps us with transport and also acquiring aid to distribute. So cheers, Justin.
Drying up there, got flashing lights on it.
Hello, Ukraine.
So the Russians are on the other side of that water. So today we're heading to Le Mans, which was liberated, we've been told, about 2 weeks ago properly. So we're going in to deliver humanitarian aid to the people who remain in the village.
Oh look, landmines. Close on them. Oh, there.
When I left in September, life was pretty normal, as normal as it could be in the west of Ukraine. But after I left, tensions have intensified, the bombing attacks have intensified, and a lot of the people who initially left Ukraine and have come back are now feeling like they have to leave again, because it's very similar to the start of the war. Their safe cities are being rocketed, people don't have power, people don't have running water, and it's worrying that we could see a return to what I was seeing back in April.
Over there. We're really f***ing exposed here as well, boys. Let's go, let's go, let's go! So we're in Kherson Oblast, distributing aid to villages which are under Russian occupation. Our understanding of what's happened from what our military contacts have told us is as we were giving out aid, the Russians were watching across the river. We're only 3 kilometers away from the Russians, and the village started being shelled while we were in it. We had a missile go over the top of us. Big impact. So we've just had a Russian rocket go over our position, so we're now fleeing the area. So we started getting out of there, along with a large segment of the Ukrainian army, and we were all travelling across this bridge. And this bridge is only a temporary bridge. It was very thin metal plates, almost like sand traps have been put up to replace the bridge that had been previously blown up. Because of all this traffic going over the bridge, it's designed for people to drive slowly over it, and the Ukrainians are hightailing it 90 miles an hour plus across it. We're shooting down it. So by the time Henry's Isuzu went across it, the bridge gave out underneath it. We didn't see the crash. None of our guys saw the bridge slip out underneath them. So we sat there waiting for 5 minutes, it's all around us, being like, where are these guys? And then we started driving back, and we see them limping off the bridge with that tyre, air hissing out of it, which was not ideal at all. The rest of our convoy has just legged it. It's just 2 vehicles left, one limping, and a big white transit van. How you feeling?
All good, man. All good.
And it wrecked a tyre, smashed up the side of the vehicle.
Targeting the bridge, it's the only bridge in Kherson.
With what drill? Right, what do you need?
They've just blown the bridge up that we went over.
How does it go, like that? Like this? Yep. Not too high.
We're really exposed here as well, boys.
Yeah.
Russians over there.
They're going to be coming from that way. Keep an eye on the sky, mate.
Flag that vehicle, Darren, make sure you don't hit us.
That's good, that's good, that's good. How is it? That's alright.
They're all fleeing as well, all the army's fleeing. They're not stopping, you know.
Our groups had a lot of problems navigating those roads. Other charitable groups I'm aware of have also had problems with their vehicles where they just get destroyed. If you have to drive very quickly in some very dangerous areas and the roads are dreadful in vehicles which aren't really designed for that sort of terrain, you do cause a lot of damage and it does start to get very expensive.
So we managed to change the wheel on there, getting out of here, loads of munitions littered across the road. The wheels on an angle. It was surreal, but as I said, it's all another day's work for us. It's not unexpected when you're going to hot areas. We're often told by people, you know, it's 50-50. One of the checkpoint soldiers said, you can go there, but it's 50-50 whether you come back, and only 50% you will come back if God's on your side. So we go, okay, cheers, mate. So we're here, had to pull off because the wheel's on an angle, and we just noticed there's drying up now.
It's got flashing lights on it. Camera can sort of pick them up, the red dots around it.
Dauer, get the ratchet out.
Unsure whether it's Ukrainian or Russian, but not great.
So we weren't able to make it into Kherson, currently still fleeing the area. The village we were helping on the outskirts came under a rocket attack. So we had to hightail it out of there. It's heartbreaking. We got rocket attacked while we were handing out aid, and villagers are in panic. We're fortunate enough to be able to escape, and now who knows what's happened to them. It's heartbreaking. You try and do good, and then some decides to bomb civilians.
So this here is where Henry's head went through when the bridge slipped out from underneath him. Nothing a glue job won't fix. Sorted.
Henry, who's our team mechanic, he works for Southwest Trains, and so he's trained up as a engineer, and he's really useful, particularly now we've got the Isuzu, which is quite an old vehicle, because he's able to patch up any problems.
I think the tranny's stuck, guys. 2 secs.
One of the struggles we have with relying on fundraising is people such as the Telegraph audience have been very generous, but vehicles are very expensive. So both vehicles we bought them for, one for £2,500 and one for £2,200, but the repairs on each and getting them with winter tyres has cost about an additional £1,000 per vehicle. We're then trying to buy new 4x4s, you're looking at 20, 30, 40,000 really. So we've done what we can, and we think we've got some really good kit this time. We're very glad to have an engineer with us who can actually repair them if there are problems, so we don't have to rely on local mechanics.
How are you feeling?
Good. What's good about this car though? It's taken a bit of a beating, I tell you that.
That bridge, it was blown up about an hour later by the Russians. They just shelled it non-stop, and we think it even might have been sooner than that, because as we were changing the tyre we had lots of explosions in that direction, but we didn't stick around to find out what happened to it. It's only what our contacts have told us.
We have a rough idea of where the Frontline is and where the fighting is. We use a multitude of apps, and also we have military intelligence, but that line is always changing, and unfortunately, particularly when you're in the sticks, it's not always clear where the Russian soldiers are. So it really is taking a chance, a bit of a leap of faith, but so far I'm one of the few teams out there where we've had no injuries, we've had no fatalities, and I hope to continue that.
It was, I'd say it's the closest we've been. The Russian rocket was about 30 metres overhead and it hit about a kilometre away. So we were very quick to get out there. We did go back, however, the next day we went back, resupplied the villagers. We won't let the Russians win.
Normally when we drive our vehicles over, it's full of medical aid because you can't even buy things like bandages in a lot of Ukrainian supermarkets or medical stores anymore. Back in April, you couldn't even buy paracetamol, it was completely sold out. We had to specially order in through a pharmacist friend of mine to buy children's medicine to give to people with Down syndrome in Poltava. It's a concern that I think, especially over the winter, we're going to start seeing a return to that rationing of items.
So what we've heard from the front is they don't have running water and they don't have disinfectant to clean the stretchers. They won't be able to clean the blood off, then they'll use them again to evac troops out from the front.
It's a lot of work. So actually, well, not happy because it means there are casualties, but happy that we can do our job. Funny, there is a lot of equipment here that comes from humanitarian help, but a lot of it is being misguided. Like a lot of stuff we get that we don't really need, but the most important stuff we need is actually missing.
So we've tried from the start of the war to try and bring practical items as well as, I guess, feel-good items as such to people. Because feel-good items, they are important, but currently with the winter coming in, it's about keeping people alive. And so that's why we're trying to focus on bringing a different type of aid in this time.
So basically you have just Ukrainian soldiers on the front line. It's like the care under fire. And then you have like a case evac because most of the machinery is not able to go in. And you have like this big machinery which is like 4x4 to go in. And it's basically case evac. So whatever goes in just grabs them and gets them here. And outside of the zero zone, which is like, I don't know, 3 to 7 to 10 maybe kilometers maximum away from the front line, from the zero zone, you have a field point or a hospital like here, and then we treat them, we stabilize them, and then we do the medevac. So it's a bit it's a bit different.
We're of the understanding we want to give people a lot of food and supplies in November so they can start to prepare for winter. And it may sound slightly brutal, but if they haven't prepared in November, they aren't going to make it through the winter. And that's just the reality of it. It doesn't matter if you're there to give them a little bit of aid in there. You won't be able to sustain people enough for months and months and months through the cold. They've got to really push to do that themselves as well. We'll give them a bit of a boost, a bit of help, but unfortunately they've got to do what they were doing prior to the war to try and survive through this.
Perfect.